All right, here we go.
There's some
Well,
music.
David, we got David Blackman. We got RT. You ever have those crazy old uncles where they sit back and they all go around a Christmas party? Yeah, I got these three guys walking into a bar. I happen to know the other two guys. I got David Blackman. I mean, David Blackman is a legend in my mind. How are you today, David?
Oh, I'm just happy to be here, Stu. I'm so happy I can hardly stand to be around myself.
I cannot stand to be around you either. And then we have RT. RT is playing a game. I think he's trying to earn money
Candy
so that
Crush.
he can go drill a well.
Trying
RT
to.
Trevino is a big dog over there at Pecos Operating. How are you today?
I cannot complain. It is a great day. It's good to see you guys. It's been about a week. And here in North Texas, we actually have another week of, or not too much rain this week, I should say.
I'll tell you what, we got us an action-packed show today. In fact, I was sitting there thinking, what would Jesus think if he was sitting there working with everybody? And I found this little video of Jesus working with the disciples. So, RT, here you go.
Right, we can have a little fun.
That's terrible.
So
Man.
now, RT, which is worse? Jesus getting stuck, not walking on water, or you trying to go around climate protesters? Now, I got a
don't
video.
put me around climate
of
protesters. You don't got that video, do you?
We got it.
were going
You got
around
that
climate
video?
protesting. Yes,
Oh,
I
no.
do. I got the video.
This is
Here we go.
amazing.
This is RT.
I mean, the music, I'm not going to go there on music, but I mean, people probably have
Okay.
seen me in my Jeep before. So.
And no climate
man.
protesters were hurt in the filming of this episode of the Three
Well,
Podcasts.
that's a shame. That's a shame.
No,
Oh,
and no extra points. So for today's show, we got about 16 different topics, but RT, you've got two big stories that you teed up. And when you get off your phone, you can go ahead and try to point out what you got.
Right? I know. I'm so sorry. No, what a week it's been. I mean, they're already preparing for the grid this year. And before we even jump into the grid, I mean, people, we have more people moving to Texas than ever before. Okay. So that being said, be nice to everybody and be sure to tell them, hey, you're moving here because of the policies and beliefs that Texas already had. So don't California my Texas. Okay. There's my public service. Okay.
Don't
that being
California
said,
my
we
Texas.
have what?
Don't California my Texas.
Exactly.
Yes. Do not California my Texas. Do not New York my Texas. I welcome anybody to come to God's playground. Okay. I welcome anybody. But our policies, our regulations, and our Christian core values in this great state is what makes us the greatest state in America. So please come one, come all.
God bless Texas.
Just give us a little time with our grid, okay? Because we cannot keep up with the population increase, not to mention the Bitcoin and data mining that only continues to rise here in the great state of Texas. So basically, I've kind of got more of a big public service announcement. Keep an eye out on your electricity this year. With more wind and solar getting ready to come online, we do not have the battery power storage for that wind and solar to help generate the electricity that we're going to need. So get ready for a lot more natural gas this summer, God willing. And, slowly but surely we are building that infrastructure. And hopefully we can talk about the infrastructure and the Texas state, allowing $5 billion, and they had almost $40 billion worth of people wanting to do work with natural gas. So really, I'm all for energy addition. We just need to do it in the best way possible. So again, right now we really have a lot going on. with our grid. So just be ready. South Texas, y'all might get hit first. So just keep an eye out and, limit what you can. If you can, if you got a Tesla, maybe charge it during the day and not at night. I don't know. Everybody really likes their AC at nighttime.
Welcome,
and I
Lord Bailey
agree, sir. We
Midkiff.
definitely don't want to California, Texas. And Bailey Midkiff, how are you, sir? Doing well over here, and I hope you are doing epic, as my good friend likes to say.
Patrick Devine is with us.
Yes.
Edwin Rodriguez is with us. What's up,
Hello.
Edwin? All right,
All
we're
right.
doing good.
I love it. But
Your
David,
other
though, you wrote about the great stuff in regards to the natural gas and the state basically earmarking about $5 billion, but we had almost $40 billion worth of requests. Is that right?
Yeah, the Texas Energy Fund, that was a bill passed by the 2023 session of the legislature, allocated $5 billion fund for guaranteeing low interest loans for natural gas infrastructure generation projects. The PUC accumulated the bids last Friday. They totaled up to 100 and an overwhelming response to this from power generators. 125 applications totaling 55.8 gigawatts of additional natural gas capacity. The state's goal is just 10 gigawatts of new capacity. So something's got to give. They're going to have to go through a ranking process, qualifying process, to determine which of the projects that they're going to offer the low interest loans to. There's also some grant money in there. And local communities are offering tax incentives as well. I think this is very important to point out, that among the applicants were the city of Sugar Land, which is aspiring to build a 500 megawatt natural gas plant to power a new multi-use industrial and shopping center that they're putting on the side of a former federal prison right outside that community, and the Texas A&M University system, which is proposing to allocate land necessary to build natural gas generation for its 12 campuses. So this is an overwhelming response. It's a proof that everyone, what I've been writing about for 4 years now, that everyone knows that Texas is short of natural gas dispatchable reserve capacity. That's what killed us during Uri. It killed 300 Texans during Uri. And this is proof that the generators, who have been reluctant to build natural gas for a decade now, also recognize there's an issue that needs to be filled. So good for them, good for the state. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and Charles Schwartner, Senator from Georgetown, for your efforts in the 2023 session to get that bill passed, and to Governor Abbott for signing it into law.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big battle coming up with natural gas, and I still don't understand it. Natural gas is one of the key reasons that we're able to lower emissions and be cleaner. I don't understand it.
I don't either. Well, it's just politics. I mean, you've got the wind and solar lobby. They want all the money for themselves. They've had a monopoly on the incentives and subsidies for 10 years now, and that's the main reason why natural gas hasn't been getting built in Texas. What the Texas Energy Fund does is level the playing field on incentives, and we see the result. It's incredible.
What do you guys think of two things? You've got your story here, David, with the oil edges up on forecasts for strong global demand. What do you got there?
So there's a growing consensus among the EIA, Goldman Sachs, OPEC, and even the International Energy Agency that demand for crude is going to continue to grow very strongly for the rest of 2024 and into 2025. And I think investors, traders are reacting to that. All four of those entities came out with updated forecasts this week, and that's caused oil prices have gone up they were down. West Texas Intermediate was down around 73 midweek last week, and now midweek this week it's approaching 79 today. It's over 78 today. So there's been a significant uptick, and it's because everyone agrees that demand is continuing to rise for oil and natural gas and coal and wood to burn for energy. We used all of them at record levels last year. We're going to do it again this year and next year, and probably many years into the future.
David, it's really exciting to see that the global demand is going up as an oil and gas producer. Well, thank you, Robert. We really enjoy it, and thank you very much. But something came out last week that one of your partners over there at Forbes wrote, saying how actually production has stabilized over the last 12 to 18 months.
U.S.
And
production.
when you first hear that, as a producer and somebody that plays in the dirt all day, it's like, well, what do you mean? We're having record numbers every month of new production. But that is true that we are having record numbers. But when you dive into the numbers, we really have almost leveled off. Is that correct, David?
Yeah, that was Robert Rapier who wrote that. He's a really good writer, contributes over at Forbes. He's a really smart guy, and he's right. I mean, U.S. production has leveled off over the past 10 months. But we have to remember that that's only happened because we've cut the active rig count by 45% since 2019. And by 25% just since January of 2023. So it's not that, the wells are less productive. It's just that we're drilling a lot fewer of them. They're actually vastly more productive in terms of initial recoveries and ultimate recoveries from every well in the Permian Basin that gets drilled, much higher than it was just 4 years ago. That's because of advanced technologies and better processes. And, the industry is constantly innovating. It's the most innovative, technology-heavy industry on the planet. And, so I don't think anyone ought to be surprised, although it always amazes me how many people who are really knowledgeable about this industry are surprised when stuff like that happens. It's amazing to me.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I really enjoyed your numbers there where you're talking about, hey, since 2019, we've cut down 45%, and then since we've done
January of 23. Yeah,
23.
25%.
Yeah. Since 2023, 25% is a big number.
It is a big number.
And so it's really interesting that here we are being stagnant. Again, from face value, when you see somebody say that, you're like, how can that be? So I'm very glad, again, that we can dive into it and talk about it. Also, it kind of raises an eyebrow because it's going to bite us in the butt at some point, ladies and gentlemen. Supply and demand is real. Economics 101 that we all took in high school and had to take in college, Chapter 1, supply and demand. That is real. As Saudi Arabia and OPEC continue to do their cuts, we only continue to fight that right now with the production that we have. So thank God for American oil being drilled on American soil right now.
The Biden administration just called, and they have their expert here, RT. There is their expert on supply and demand. Okay,
is that Jennifer Granholm's EV?
Yeah. Sorry about that, dude.
Don't get me started on Jennifer Granholm. Did y'all remember back in March when they said that Michigan was going to get a new nuclear power plant and get a big $1 billion loan for it? And then it came back out on the news yesterday and just got me all riled up again. Yeah. Where was Jennifer Granholm the governor of? Michigan? I mean, just
the Palisades, Palisades plant. It's actually, they restarted a mothballed one. Okay. And they're doing it with $1.5 billion from the Department of Energy. That's a hell of a kickback from the Secretary of Energy, isn't it?
I'm sure she's going to be an investor somehow, some way, or her second cousin twice removed probably is, right?
But I'm glad, she's had a real change of heart all of a sudden here over the last month about nuclear, and I'm glad to see it. Because we're going to need a lot more nuclear, and so that's good. I mean, the problem is that that's old technology, that's old generation nuclear. We need to find a way to speed up the development and deployment of new nuclear technology, thorium reactors, molten salt, like the one being that's about to get under operation within the next 2 to 3 years out at Abilene Christian University on the campus of Abilene Christian, led by my friend Doug Robinson and his company. That's going to happen. And of course, Texas leads the way.
Yes.
Speaking of that, I'm
that Doug Carr.
Working with Bethany Stevens. She's the director of media relations with Senator Cruz's office, because we're working on the follow up to the Americans for Prosperity event that we were at with Senator Cruz.
Yes.
And that is a very important feature, because when Senator Cruz said, "Hey, what can I do to help you?" he actually had a very good point when he said, "I need help with fuel." And boy, I mean, Senator Cruz went absolutely nuts. So I love Senator Cruz, and I love his staff.
He's great. He was in a great mood that day and really upbeat, and I was sure happy to see that. I think things are shaping up very well for him in his reelection campaign. Thank goodness.
Yes.
And
I heard a rumor somebody wanted him as a Supreme Court justice. I think he'd be great, but I don't want to lose him as a senator.
We can't afford to lose him as a senator. No, he's probably one of the most knowledgeable next to Mark Levin. And because Mark Levin is a very good scholar when it comes to the Constitution, okay?
Right.
I mean, I'll put everything else aside, kind of like that other guy that's really good at baseball that also does politics. It's like, he just knows the history of baseball. But Mark Levin and Senator Cruz have such a great grasp.
Jonathan Turley is up there too.
Yeah. The problem for Mark Levin is he's in his 70s. Ted Cruz, people don't know it, I guess, but he was an associate attorney general here deputy attorney general here in Texas before he ran for the Senate. He argued 9 cases before the Supreme Court while he was in that job and won, I think, 7 of them. So he's an incredibly smart lawyer, would be great on the Supreme Court, but you're right. We can't afford to lose him in the Senate.
I love Senator Cruz. Did I just say that out loud on live? Hey, here's a great one from Patrick, our buddy Patrick. Here's a question. How will the departure from the petrodollar affect the cost of oil and natural gas development and production in the U.S.? Fantastic question. I'll let you guys take a stab, and then I'll let you know my opinion.
I'll go first, and then y'all either correct me or make me look good, one of the two, right? I don't think we really have to worry about a BRICS currency as much as I think as we still look out for it. I think right now across the world, the petrodollar is still strong. Now if we see some things that happen in the future that we can get out there on thoughts and conspiracy theories, but right now OPEC is still understands the value of the petrodollar and the value of the American dollar, which who we kidding? That's what it is. But that's kind of my thoughts on it. But do I see BRICS trying to start their own dollar? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I still don't think it's going to be enough to move the petrodollar away. David?
Well, this will be my input from Bailey Midkiff, Patrick Devine. The departure from the petrodollar could potentially impact the cost of oil and natural gas development and production in the U.S. by influencing exchange rates, trade agreements, and global market dynamics, potentially leading to increased costs or uncertainties in the industry. Yes, sir, that's exactly right. It could also potentially lead to an economic depression, not just a recession, in the United States that would spread globally. So we better hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Well, Lord Bailey, I am not going to show this one. We don't want RT thinking that he actually had a good point. So RT, Lord Bailey, I'm not going to show this.
Thank you, Lord. Check is in the mail, Lord Bailey.
When we take a look at, the death of the petrodollar is not going to happen quickly. I feel that when you have Janet Yellen, who should have my barber and not her barber, because when they had all of the worst Treasury bond and U.S. Treasuries going on last week, and everybody's saying, "What? Nobody wants to buy our Treasuries anymore," and that's what keeps our debt going, and that's tied to the petrodollar. Sanctioning petrodollars and trying to do that is a mistake. Trump had sanctioned Iran, and they were at 400,000 barrels per day. They're up over 1,000,004 barrels per day under the Biden sanctions because sanctions don't work when they're not enforced.
Right. I mean, yeah.
What happens? The dark fleet comes in. The dark fleet is alive and well, and now the dark fleet is now going LNG. LNG now has tankers that are being self-insured so that they can go forth and then sell around the sanctions. Everybody was saying, oh, there's no LNG tankers in the dark fleet. Wrong. There are. So anyway, sorry, we're picking on you today, Lord Bailey. I'm not sure if that was because I was funny, but yeah, Patrick, again, we as Americans have some of the greatest oil and gas and energy workers. Hug a lineman, hug a rig operator. I mean, they are fantastic people. Electricity generation, love it.
You know, that Patrick, that reminds me of what Americans for Prosperity are liking to say right now. When Texas is energy abundant, America is energy dominant. And that's, dare I say, the crude truth right there. You know, when you look at Texas on the map.
Shameless plug. RT, well done.
Man. And but when you look at Texas on the United States map, we do carry the United States on our shoulders. And as the Permian Basin goes, let's call it what it is. You know, God bless the Permian Basin, and like I said, all those people there. But we are fighting against BRICS and OPEC right now, stronger than we ever have, even though we're not drilling as many wells. So thank you to all the service companies and all the reservoir engineers and petroleum engineers and all the people that are figuring out ways to make these oil and gas wells that are already produce more and produce longer. And so thank you all very, very much for being out there.
You know, I think what I want to ask, and if for our folks that are listening, ask us questions on the taxes that are about to happen where Biden is going to kill the Trump tax issues, because the average tax per family is going up. Alternative investments are becoming more and more important with investing with tax benefits. Yeah. So,
you know, real quick before I jump into something about that, and we got to keep the government out of energy policy, and part of that actually is what Stu's talking about with these alternative investments, where these tax cuts. When are they expected to expire, Stu?
About 15 minutes.
Okay, yeah. So, are you being for real?
Biden is not going to.
He's not going to be the nominee.
Yeah, he's not going to be the nominee.
No, he's not going to be the nominee.
Well, anyway, the alternative.
Trust me on this. He's not going to be the nominee. Just saying.
Just above 400K, right, Tom?
Yeah, just above it. Yeah, just above it. Sure. But no, alternative investments are so important right now to get ahead of these tax deductions that are going away, because real estate is not a place right now, which I've been pretty surprised. Okay, because you know I do have some real estate in my portfolio, and I'm always looking. But right now, a lot of people are looking for those alternative investments that do have long-term tax deductions, immediate tax deductions, and the cash flow that like oil and gas provides, because right now the interest rates are just so high. And so, you know, these are going to be great ways to battle against these tax whatever.
Robert,
but that being said, going back to what Robert was saying, not that, but that, you know, if we can keep the policies in place, because this administration also tries to fight to remove those tax deductions that are available for alternative investments while handing out more subsidies.
Let me
And
ask
so-
this. This is a real question, guys. We have, was it 500 billion or five? There are 63 banks that are heavily loaned in commercial that are about to fail. I mean, they're rumored to be failing here fairly quickly. Who knows? I don't know if anybody of our listeners understand that. But there is real estate is really a problem, especially in the blue cities with commercial. So when you sit back and take a look, you have energy, you have commercial real estate, and those are the biggies. And when they're hurting that bad, and then the taxes kick in, this brings up one of the topics that I had, and that is Professor Strange, St. Ange. I've asked him to come on the podcast. He is a cool
key metric
cat,
for the
and I'm
unemployment
going to
rate after
remind
all
him,
the
here. He is a really very knowledgeable man, and so anybody that wants to follow him, he's at Professor St. Ange, and he is a good dude on finances and everything else. So I've invited him to come on. I just want to get him out there.
You know, I want to kind of get off of this topic, and it's something I know me and David talked about in our pre-production meeting. Was if y'all don't, or if y'all, first of all, if y'all are not following David Blackman's Energy Absurdities on X, get over there and do that, okay? Because his Energy Absurdities of the day are still, I mean, that's what I'm saying. You've been doing that now for what, 2 years?
Couple of years, yeah.
Still something every day that's absurd.
Oh, there's more and more every day, yeah.
I know. But I want to talk about the repost you did of Lindsey Graham on MSNBC, I think. And
revealing the truth about the Ukraine war.
yes. Yeah, let's talk about that real quick before we talk about this.
Well, he revealed part of the truth on Face the Nation. I mean, live television on Face the Nation. And so I've been trying to figure out for 3 days now, why did he choose Sunday morning on Face the Nation to roll out the talking points, the truth, that one of the main reasons why the United States is conducting its proxy war with Russia in Ukraine is to prevent Putin from getting to, what was it, $14 trillion in mineral wealth underneath the ground in Ukraine, which, you know, all of us have known about. But, you know, it hasn't been a talking point from supporters of that war yet. And now suddenly Lindsey Graham chooses Sunday on Face the Nation to roll out that talking point. And I'm just, it flummoxed me to see him say that, because they haven't been saying it. And I just wonder what the reason is, because he didn't just wake up Sunday morning and say, oh, you know, I'm going to talk about all the lithium and stuff that Ukraine has under the ground today on Face the Nation. That was an intentional revelation to most of the country, whoever watches Face the Nation anymore, that obviously had been done with a lot of pre-thought. And, you know, he would have had to vet that through the State Department, the Defense Department, the White House before he rolled that out. So it's really, really an interesting thing that he chose Sunday to do that. It's absolutely true. That's absolutely one of the main motivations. And the truth about these things can always be discovered by following the money. And that's where the big money is. So,
and that kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier about, you know, that Biden may or may not be the nominee. The more and more that the president is, the more and more that former president is saying, you know, they've now suspended, I think, one case in Georgia, and they dropped another one on the voter fraud and things like that. It's getting real interesting.
Yep. Patrick Devine is right. Yeah, I mean, obviously it is. And of course, Putin looks back at history and says, oh, you know, Ukraine historically has more often been part of Russia than not. And so he uses that as his justification for going in and killing a bunch of people. You know, so I'm not defending Putin at all. I mean, he's a war criminal and ought to be treated as such. But, you know, there's a lot of reasons why the United States is doing what it's doing in Ukraine. and very little of it has to do with any real fear that Putin's about to go into Poland after he conquers Ukraine. It
Well,
has to
let
do
me ask this, and this is a real question as well, because of our incompetence at the management level of this country. We now have we have Russian missile ships in Cuba. We have 23 Russian ships off our coast.
We have a Chinese base in Honduras.
A Chinese base in Honduras. You can't buy this kind of incompetence. In fact, I mean, this is even worse than Oklahoma University. This is horrible.
You know, speaking of Oklahoma State University,
no, I said Oklahoma.
He said Oklahoma. He said
I went to the other university. They are competent.
We don't need to talk about Oklahoma right now because they I mean, you know, at the end of the day, Texas is still Texas. You know, and last week I don't know what happened.
Hey, Oklahoma just Oklahoma just outlawed the WHO and the UN. When is Texas going to do that? Because I'm a Texan, and I'm hoping that Texas follows that one.
I hadn't heard that. Is that from Steve Reese?
They passed a law making it illegal for the Oklahoma State government to adopt the policies of the WHO and the UN.
Yep.
Wow, good for them.
So Texas, Governor Abbott, when you come on the podcast, we want you to do the same thing.
First question right out the gate. I'm sure he's dying to come on now.
Yeah, that ends any chance of that happening.
I don't know who the LinkedIn user was, but they thought I was funny. Okay.
At least you got a fan out there somewhere, Stu.
I got one. It wasn't me, too.
Who are you, LinkedIn user? You anonymous thing, you?
Oh, it's on the list in Texas. Whoever that is. Now,
whoever that is will tell us in a minute.
I hope so. I really do. I love me some Texas, man. I love having Texas license plate.
God bless Texas.
Okay. Hey, this is what I think is happening to this is a true story. This is a real film. Just buckle up, because I got a film of what's happening to the climate culture right now and the greenies. And, you know, in Europe, all the green folks are going nuts. They're getting voted out, and it's some problems. So here is real video of the Green New. That is the Green New Deal happening.
That was the fallout from the EU elections, I guess.
Holy cow.
Holy steer.
Good pun. Yeah. The cow was in the front, and the steer was back there going, y'all are nuts.
Oh, goodness. But, you know, a lot of people are making a change right now. You know, the resolution make the WHO a global medical authority didn't pass last month yet. Yeah.
Right.
We'll get off topic here. We'll do some, because, be real interesting to see where the WHO goes. Because, you know, with more and more coming out that was conspiracy theory that's now coming out as true, more and more people are being very skeptical, but also more and more people are also seeing how we're not ready for an energy transition, that it's not going to happen today or tomorrow, especially in Europe. As y'all all know, I was there a couple of weeks ago. I mean, you know, they're talking now that they may have to start finding
Europe's falling apart. RT went trolling through. Nice. Well done, RT.
I know a guy. I know a guy. That's all I can say. I know a guy. I leave and it just falls apart. Maybe I should say it.
Francis Macron lost the election because of you trolling him. Nice.
Yeah, no, that was my job there. Let me tell you. Yeah.
Okay. What else? We got some more stuff coming around the corner, guys. And again, we got to sit back and take a look. Azerbaijan COP29 coming up. I love this one. Okay. Dubai was COP28. And at Dubai, I thought the head popping explosions of it, all the folks out there were absolutely a hoot, because everybody were just going nuts when the head of the oil companies were saying oil and gas is not going away. Now we have COP29 in Azerbaijan is rising. And I think, RT, to your point, we will not see an energy transition because of AI and the demands of extra energy. You're going to see natural gas increasing. You're not going to see any decreasing. You're going to see demand for oil increasing. And we're seeing a running away from just blatantly trying to throw money into these things, because people are tired of high electrical costs. I think it's going to get weird.
Yeah, no, it really is. And really the data centers that are going to be going up for the AI is also going to be very, very important. And that's going to take a lot of energy. And as the Bitcoin continues to be over here, that's going to take up a lot of energy. And as we've said here before, AI takes up more energy than doing a Google search. So it's coming, ladies and gentlemen. And for all the white collar people out there, get your job in line, because it's not going to be taking blue collar jobs. It's going to be taking white collar jobs.
So I want to give everybody watching a challenge. If you live in Texas, go back into your files from 4 years ago, find an electricity bill, and find out what the fuel charge on that electricity bill was 4 years ago. For me, it was 8.5 cents. Okay. This is the charge, the fuel charge, which is half of your bill. The next year in 2021, I had to do a new contract, and suddenly the best rate I could find was 12 cents. Okay. Yep. So that was a 50% increase almost from just 2 years before. And now that 3-year deal at 12 cents is expired, and Reliant, which is my provider, just sent me a letter that I got Friday, which says the best rate they can offer me for my next contract is a 3-year deal at 17 cents. So that is a 100% increase in 4 years.
Yep.
4 years. So that's 100%.
And David, Texas is 1/2 of New York and California.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, California's paying 48 cents. New York, same way. The New England ratepayers are way up there. Texas is unusually low comparatively on a national level. Hawaii, I can't remember what I read, 60 or something like that.
Yeah.
This is not sustainable. And, this is during a time when the pushers of renewables have continued to assure us that the solar and wind that's flooding onto our grids is cheap. It's not cheap. You're all having to fund 2 separate grids. You're having to fund a grid that will actually keep the lights on and your air conditioner running, and a climate change grid. And when you pay for 2 grids, it doubles the cost. And that's what you're seeing on your electricity bills. Anyway, I may write a column
note from Patrick.
I would.
Great point, David. I got another point to come up back to that. Here's a future projection from Patrick. Energy islands around data centers, but extra urban energy infrastructure and policy being much different in 20 years. Patrick, outstanding point.
Yep.
And I think that you're going to see microgrids coming into play everywhere. I'm putting in one in Oklahoma. I'm putting one in Abilene, in my own areas that I have, because I can, and because I know what's coming around the corner. So,
yeah, well, can't argue with that.
No.
Rates are despite government grants. And yes, right. And we're not even, the full cost hadn't hit us yet.
And Patrick,
that's the full cost of renewables.
It is the hidden cost. We've got about 4 more minutes here, guys. David, what are some of your last thoughts? Because we've got just an awful lot of. I've never seen such energy news around the world right now.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. My last thought is I'm pissed off and I'm not going to take it anymore.
At
There
what?
you go. Well, I don't know how to.
Everything. I'm just mad at everything. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.
George Strait. I hate everything.
I hate everything.
Wow.
Well, I don't know how to follow that one.
Yeah. I was happy when we
Well,
started
our
this.
team,
I know.
for the folks that weren't watching, here's our team going around. I got to commend you. Who did that? But your radio was playing so loud that they got you. I don't know how they did that.
Hey, well, you know what? When you can storm, and speaking of, this past week, when those are the vehicles that stormed the beaches of Normandy. You're welcome, France. I'll leave it at that.
There you go.
There's my last word. You're welcome, France.
I'll tell you what, with that, thank you to all of our great listeners and everybody else out there. Follow us on the Energy Absurdities on Twitter and David Blackman's Energy Absurdity, David Blackman Substack, the Crude Truth Substack, the Energy News Beat Substack. And we have got a lot more content. We have more coming up with Senator Cruz and all the other politicians that we have coming up. So lots of great stuff coming around the corner. We will see everybody next time.
Adios.